wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata, anga tukalala, hakuna matata, sasa ni barafu, hakuna matata, uhuru tutafika, hakuna matata, nguvu zake Mola, hakuna matata, mambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.
Hello, welcome. I get so excited when I listen to our guides on Kilimanjaro sing the Kilimanjaro song. It just pumps me up because I'm like the queen of the nerds. And so I wanted to start today's presentation by sharing a song about Mount Kilimanjaro that's super, super special. And if you climb Kilimanjaro, you will hear this song being sung over and over and over again. And it's a really special song. So welcome to tonight's live stream. Before we get started, just a quick poll in the comments. So when you hear about climbing Kilimanjaro, does your brain instantly think, I could never do that? That sounds really, really hard. Or do you think, maybe I could climb Kilimanjaro someday? I'm just curious. So drop a note in the comments below. Let me know how you feel. I will say that I love Mount Kilimanjaro. I love climbing Kilimanjaro. And my YouTube feed lately has basically felt like a horror movie trailer. And it's like all of these videos keep popping up on my feed that are like, you can't out climbing Kilimanjaro was the hardest thing I ever did. The altitude destroyed me. Everyone was sick. It was miserable. You'll see the face of God at 19,000 feet. But I go to Instagram and my Instagram feed is like, climbing Kilimanjaro was the easiest thing I've ever done. And it was so amazing. And here's my summit selfie. So there's like this weirdness when it comes to climbing Kilimanjaro. Content out there is either really super positive, you can do it, or really negative. And tonight I just want to talk about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro without the BS. Like, I want to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, if you're new here, my name's Rebecca. I founded Hike Like a Woman a long time ago, and I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro twice. Both times were amazing. And I'm not an elite athlete. I'm not a professional mountaineer. I'm mostly a stay-at-home mom that runs Hike Like a Woman on the side. And I've led 2 groups of women to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. And we have 13 women who are signed up for our 3rd Kilimanjaro climb this September. We have space for 7 more women to join us. And this isn't like a pitch to try to get you to climb Kilimanjaro with me. My goal tonight is really simple. I want you to just leave with clarity and either think like, yeah, I can climb Kilimanjaro, or not right now, or this is definitely not something I'm interested in. Or maybe you're here just because you want to learn a little bit more about what climbing Kilimanjaro is like. So anyway, I'm here, I'm monitoring the comments. Yeah, let's just dive right in. I already see Karen in there on Facebook. She's confident she could climb it, but it will take a lot of prep and training. Absolutely. And we'll definitely talk about that. So let's dive in. I'm going to change my slide here. Here we go. Next slide. All right. So before we go any farther, let me tell you who tonight's presentation is for and who really climbing Kilimanjaro is for, because I don't want anyone wasting time here just to realize that they hate hiking, because it's like a woman and we totally hike here. So this presentation tonight is for you if you want to set a really big goal and you want to have a plan to accomplish that plan, and you want to have a community of people who are going to support you to reach that goal. And it's also for you if you're willing to show up and train consistently. I do not believe that you can summit Mount Kilimanjaro without training. And Kilimanjaro isn't really for people who are looking for a casual weekend stroll. It's a real mountain, but it's a very climbable mountain. And the way that we climb Mount Kilimanjaro here at Hike Like a Woman is we do it in a very, very smart way that really focuses on your health and safety from the time you book the trip until the time you finish the trip. So here's the plan tonight, so you don't feel like you accidentally joined a 3-hour TED Talk. I promise I'm not going to talk that long. We're going to talk about if Kilimanjaro is hard or if the internet is just dramatic about climbing Kilimanjaro. We're going to talk about what days actually feel like when you're climbing Kilimanjaro. We're going to talk about the 4 big things that I get asked questions a ton about: your training, your travel gear, and altitude. And then I am going to open it up to questions. And if you have any weird questions, please put them in the comments, especially if you're watching the replay. Either myself or Cassie or Sophie will answer those questions for you. And I love the hard, weird questions. So please ask all the questions you want, because my goal is to help you decide if climbing Kilimanjaro is something that's right for you. So here's the truth about Kilimanjaro. And one of the things that I actually really love about Kilimanjaro is that it's not a technical mountain. So Mount Kilimanjaro is the tallest freestanding peak in the world. That means Kilimanjaro. It's a volcano. It's freestanding. And it's really difficult to find a big mountain, a mountain that's above 19,000 feet, that doesn't require ropes, harnesses, or climbing skills. And I think that's really, really spectacular. And I think that's one of the things that makes Kilimanjaro so special is you can get to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro without oxygen tanks and without any technical skills at all. But what really makes Mount Kilimanjaro difficult is the altitude, and also the fact that it's several days of steady effort. And so you're hiking uphill for 5 days, and then you're climbing to the summit in the middle of the night. You're getting to the summit just after sunrise, and then you got to go way back down. And so it's a lot of sustained effort over those 7 days. And summit night is amazing. It's hard. You're cold, you're tired, but it is amazing. And we'll talk about summit night in a little bit. But here's the good news about climbing Kilimanjaro, especially about climbing Kilimanjaro with Hike Like a Woman. It's not a race. It's not a contest about who's the fittest or who's the fastest hiker. It's really a contest about who can just be slow and steady and sustain a slow, steady pace over 7 days. So I really believe that if you train consistently, if you pace yourself, if you communicate with your guides, and our guides will be really good at communicating with us, then you're in the game. And, if you're out there and if you're in the comments and you're thinking, I don't know about Kilimanjaro, if you've ever said, I'm not fit enough for that, maybe comment me, because there's no shame. And we'll talk about how to get ready for Kilimanjaro. And the good news is, if you're going to come with me, we got 9 months to get ready. Well, 8 months really. So let's keep going forward here. I want to talk about what the vibe is on Kilimanjaro. Just, what's a day like on Mount Kilimanjaro? What does it feel like? What does it look like? And really, Kilimanjaro is the most simple trip that I lead, and I lead trips all over the world, because you basically eat, sleep, and hike. You wake up, we eat breakfast, you pack your day pack, and then you just hike all day long. Usually by the time you get to camp, it's early in the afternoon. You have a big lunch. The guides tell you to rest and to sleep, take a nap, and then you have dinner, and then you go to bed, and you wake up and you do it all over again. And it is just like the perfect life to be able to wake up and just hike slowly all day long. It's beautiful. We're assisted and supported by guides and porters. Our guides and porters take really good care of us. Usually there's like 3 to 4 support people, so guides, porters, and cooks for every one climber. So we will have a huge support group where we'll be essentially moving a small city up the mountain every single day on Kilimanjaro. And that's really great. We just hike with a day pack. You don't have to carry like your big 45-pound backpacking pack. We hike with a day pack. The lighter, the better. And we hike pole pole in Swahili, or slowly, slowly. The whole goal is to be able to hike, keep it in zone one if you're training in those 5 zones. Zone 1, where we can hike, we can carry on a conversation, we can sing, we can tell dirty jokes, we can laugh, we can have dance parties, but we hike slowly, slowly, very, very slowly. That's important to help us acclimate on the mountain. A lot of people are nervous about being able to acclimate before the climb, but actually as we're hiking, we're acclimating. The route that we've chosen follows the mountaineering principle of climb high, sleep low. So sometimes we hike high and we come back down and we sleep a little bit lower so we can get really good sleep that night. And it gives our body a chance to replenish and rebuild all those red blood cells. And I'm not a scientist, but anyway, this route is set up for our success. The only kind of interesting break of that wake up and walk kind of day is summit night. On summit night, we wake up about midnight. It's dark and it's cold, and our guides feed us dinner, and then we turn on our headlamps and we just hike slowly to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, which is Uruhu Peak at just around 19,341 feet. So on summit night, our guides just like to keep us moving slowly and steadily up the mountain. You just follow the line of headlamps to the summit of the mountain, and it's really special. All you got to do is keep on moving, going forward. Guides hand us hot tea and snacks to keep our energy level high. And it's just really, if you've never hiked through the night before, it's just a really kind of special, unique experience. And hiking through the night on Kilimanjaro is just unforgettable. And I think I wasn't going to mention this, but one thing that's kind of more difficult on summit night is, I mentioned earlier that we typically get to the summit just after sunrise. There is a moment just below Stella Point, which is also a summit point, but not the true summit point. Stella Point's about 18,000 feet. And there is a point before the sun rises, before we reach Stella Point, where the hike gets really hard. And it gets hard because by that point, we've been climbing straight uphill for 6 hours and we're tired. And I don't know if this is real or not, but I always feel like the air gets colder before the sun comes up. Maybe it's just me. If you know, let me know. If you're a meteorologist, let me know in the comments below. But always the 2 times that I've climbed Kilimanjaro, I feel like the last half an hour, 45 minutes before the sun rises is always the hardest part of the climb for me mentally, because I'm just thinking, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. Are we ever going to be at the summit? You can't see anything because it's dark. So it's easy to feel a little bit discouraged. But then all of a sudden you see the sun start to rise and you see it start to peak over the mountains. And it's just this feeling of like gratitude, of joy, of happiness. I feel like standing on the summit is just this amazing, inspiring experience. But watching the sun rise and the sun come up after you've done something so hard and so physically demanding, it's really beautiful and it's really powerful. And it makes me like, no wonder every ancient civilization worshiped the sun because it's just it's like a reset button. And those emotions are really big on Kilimanjaro. It's a big mountain and it really brings up big emotions. So there's this big feeling as the sun starts to rise and you keep walking and you keep going, and then you get to the summit. And I've cried both times I've reached the summit because it's just a really, really powerful feeling. So that is summit night. I see Karen in there. Yeah, okay. So she confirmed that just before dawn is the coldest point of the night in general. Yeah, so I'll answer your question here, Karen. On summit night, how is the terrain and what would we be hiking on? Yes, that's a great question. It's we're hiking up a lava field essentially. So it's when we start from Barafu, which is base camp before we start summit night, it's pretty rocky. Maybe the first mile. So there's some big steps climbing up those rocks, and then we get on the lava field, and it's actually not. It's maybe a little rocky, but it's not like big rocks. If you've climbed up Mount St. Helens, that's kind of the terrain it is. So yeah, it's rocky the first mile and then the last little bit. Depending on when you climb Kilimanjaro, you might have to walk through a snowfield, across a glacier to get to the summit. I've climbed it in June and August, and both times we walked through snow, but we did not need our micro spikes. But we had them in our backpacks just in case. So if you climb with me, I'm getting, I usually get trail reports from the guides. They start sending me those trail reports about a month before the climb every week. So, so then I get that trail information on the snow and the ice, and if we need micro spikes or not. So that's another advantage of doing a hike like woman trip is I'm in constant communication with the guides about the route and trail conditions before the climb, so we know exactly what to expect. So Karen, I hope that answered your question. So anyway, that's what a day on Mount Kilimanjaro feels like. That's what summit night feels like. And then the other thing that I really want to talk about is I get a lot of questions about which route should you choose on Kilimanjaro? Why do we climb the 7-day Machame route? A lot of people use the Lemosho route, which is another popular route, which has also a very high summit success rate. And why do we do a 7-day climb instead of a 6-day climb or an 8-day climb or a 9-day climb? And I chose the 7-day Machame route for two reasons. The first reason is I would have chosen, so the two routes that I would choose would be the Lemosho route or the Machame route. The first reason I chose the Machame route is because it's actually closer to Moshi. So we start in Moshi. That's kind of where everybody flies into Moshi. So to get to the trailhead for the Machame route, it's only like a half an hour, 45-minute drive, depending on traffic. So we're able to get a much earlier start in the day. If we chose the Lemosho route, you got to like drive, sit in a bus and drive 3 hours and then wait around for your permit, all the things. So I just want to start hiking. I don't want to spend time driving in a bus. I just want to start hiking. So that was initially why I chose the Machame route, but I really like it. And the 7-day route is pretty cool. I have noticed that people on Kilimanjaro, not on different groups. So it's a busy mountain. We see lots of groups, and you kind of flip flop with different groups as you climb. I've seen people who do the 6-day climb on Mount Kilimanjaro on the Machame route, and they're just spent. By the time they start their summit attempt, they are exhausted. There's just no time for them to rest and recover before they start trying to get to the summit. And the 6-day climb just does not have a very high summit success rate. And there's more to climbing Kilimanjaro than the summit. But if you're spending all the money and going all the way to Africa to climb Kilimanjaro, you want to put in a good effort to try to get to the summit. So 6-day, I would not recommend. And then the 8-day climb is also very popular. But I find that the more that you're on the mountain, the harder it is to rest. You're not, the food's different. You're not getting a good sleep in your tent. There's lots of factors at play. And the longer that you're on the mountain, the more tired you're just going to get in general. So I found that the 7-day climb has all the benefits of acclimating as you hike, but it also makes sure that it's short enough so that you're just not getting completely exhausted on the mountain. I was on the fence about a 7 or an 8-day climb for this actual climb in 2027 or 2026, the one we're doing this year. But last year there was a group of women who were very similar to us in terms of fitness and age, and they were doing an 8-day climb, I think either an 8-day climb or a 9-day climb. And we were doing a 7-day climb. We met up with them at Lava Tower, which is a couple days into the climb where the Lemosho route and the Machame route meet. And they were just hauling, they were super fast. They were having so much fun. They were laughing and smiling. We saw them on summit night, and they just a couple days later, and they were exhausted. They were really struggling on summit night. And then the day after, when you have to get the day after summit night day, when you're getting back to the trailhead, they were just really exhausted, and they were really, they didn't look like they were doing well at all. And we got back to the hotel. We had the same guiding company, different groups. They got back to the hotel several hours after we did. And I think that the reason they were so tired at the end of their climb was that extra 24, 36 hours where they just weren't getting good rest and they weren't able to recover. So that kind of confirmed for me that the 7-day route is perfect for the trips that we lead here at Hike Like a Woman. So I think that 7 days is kind of that perfect balance of enough time to acclimate, but not so much time that it's going to just get you more and more exhausted. Okay, I am totally rambling. Let's talk a little bit about training. This is just another topic that I get asked a lot of questions about. And I used to think that anyone can climb Kilimanjaro, and that your fitness didn't matter, that it was all just mental toughness. But I've changed my mind. And I think it's really important to put in the physical work to prepare to climb Kilimanjaro, and also the mental work. I think if you have an average level of fitness right now, if you're someone who just has exercise as part of your daily routine, even if it's just you go for a walk around the block every night with your dog, or you do yoga 3 times a week, or you lap swim 3 times a week, or you lift weights a couple times a week. Anyone who has fitness as part of their daily routine is going to be great. And then I think about 4 to 5 months out before the climb is where we really start to get serious about training for Kilimanjaro specifically. And what's hard with these multi-day trips that I lead is most of us hike on a weekend. So we'll hike on a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Sunday, or sometimes a Saturday and a Sunday, but we don't hike for 5 consecutive days, 6 consecutive days, 7 consecutive days. And so getting ready for Kilimanjaro is all about training for those longer days with lots of climbs. So elevation is big. It's important to do some hill training, some strength training, especially for those days when we're hiking on uneven terrain. And then just being able to get tired and being able to spend time on tired feet. And I actually just published a YouTube video. So if you're watching on our YouTube channel, go check it out. I published it yesterday. If you're watching on the Facebook feed right now, I'll go ahead and link it after the live stream. But I talked about the difference that I did, the difference in training that I had between my first climb and my second climb, and why even with injuries, my second climb was so much better. And I really think it was because I focused on hill training, strength training, and time on tired feet. So those are important. Getting gritty is important. When we, sometimes in the morning I lay in bed and I think, I could keep hanging out here, reading my book. It's cold, it's windy, it's snowing. But having that drive to get up and get outside and go for a run or go for a walk, no matter how miserable the weather is, that just helps build that grit, that resilience that is really, really crucial to summiting Mount Kilimanjaro. And I have watched people who haven't trained very much on Mount Kilimanjaro versus those who have trained a lot. And those who have trained a lot just generally have a lot more fun climbing Kilimanjaro because they're not suffering. And so training is really, really important. And the good news is if you join me for our climb in September, I have a whole training program ready to go. Right now, I have women in the training program. It's for everybody who's doing a Hike Like a Woman trip with me this year. Where we have some challenges, we have Monday morning check-ins, we provide support. So there's a lot of community involved with training for this climb. And when you're on the climb, you're ready to go and you already have some built-in friends because we're building this whole training community behind the scenes. And then we also have video calls every other month where we talk through all the logistics and all of those things. So training, you can do it. And there's plenty of time to train and get ready for climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Next, I get a lot of questions about gear and what specific gear you need to climb Kilimanjaro. And here's the thing, climbing Kilimanjaro is not a gear intensive activity. It's so different than if you were to go backpacking or on a weekend camping trip. You really just need your hiking clothes, broken in shoes and boots, or both. I wear a combination of shoes and then boots on different parts of the trail. And I can talk about that if you join us for a climb. You need a day pack that feels good on your back. You need some water bottles. You need a sleeping bag, but you can rent a sleeping bag from our guiding company. And then some nice warm clothing that you can wear on summit night. And the thing is, you don't have to go out and buy new gear. You can borrow it from a friend. You can rent it from our guiding company. I have a ton of gear. If you say, hey, Rebecca, I live in a really hot place and I don't have a down jacket, I'm pretty sure I can help you find a down jacket. I have a bunch of packing lists that I have shared in the past, but if you're climbing Kilimanjaro with me, I will share those packing lists. Or if you're climbing with another group, usually the packing lists that guides give are very generic and they're not, they don't give really specific instructions about what to bring. So I'm happy to share those packing lists with you, even if you're not going to do a Hike Like a Woman climb. Last year, we had a woman who she bought all of her cold weather gear, or most of it, used on Poshmark. I don't even know what Poshmark is, on eBay. And so there's a lot of opportunities and options to buy used clothing and gear that's going to be great on Kilimanjaro. All right. So we can talk about altitude a little bit here too. So I mentioned before that on Kilimanjaro, we hike at a very, very slow pace. Pole pole is the very slow pace that we hike. It's usually like a mile an hour. And if you're a faster hiker, that is very slow. But yeah, pole is the pace that we hike slowly, slowly. Oh, and I see Rachel in the comments. Hi, Rachel. Rachel actually was the one who climbed Kilimanjaro with us, who had her 69th birthday on Kilimanjaro, you guys. And she had an amazing, she outfitted herself so well. So if you have questions, Rachel's in the comments on YouTube right now, and I bet she would answer them for you. So yeah, we hike pole, we acclimate as we go. I give information about what questions to ask your doctor about altitude, about taking Diamox to prevent altitude sickness and treat altitude sickness. Our guides are all very well trained in wilderness first aid, wilderness first responder. They know the mountain. They lead Westerners like us up and down the mountain every single day. Many of them have led clients up and down Kilimanjaro hundreds of times. So they take really, really good care of us. They know exactly what we need to be eating, what we need to be drinking, and they do health checks every single day. And we actually switched guiding companies, and I'm even more confident in the company we're using this year when it comes to our health and safety on the mountain. So yeah, and one thing that's important too when we're actually on the climb is to pull me aside or pull a guide aside if you're not feeling well, if someone's bothering you, if you're getting a blister, all those things. It's really important to have this open and honest communication with me and with the guides on the mountain, and hopefully we do a good job of fostering that sense of community where we all look out for each other and take care of each other, and where people feel comfortable talking to their tent mate, talking to me. That communication is really important. And it's not just important on Kilimanjaro, but it's important on all of our Hike Like a Woman trips. So yeah, altitude safety. I also have an altitude, like some guidelines and things that we talk about in our small groups, our group calls. Okay, so I see a question from Vanessa. Vanessa actually has already signed up for the trip, and she's on Facebook. Hi, Vanessa. Good to see you. Yes, you will be able to rent micro spikes. That's a great question. Yes. So anyway, if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the comments. I'm monitoring both YouTube and Facebook right now. And the other thing I want to mention is every other month we do live group calls with women from all of our trips. So this Sunday night, we are actually doing a group call for West Highland Way, Costa Rica, Kilimanjaro, Tour de Mont Blanc. So if you're interested in climbing Kilimanjaro with us in September, but you're kind of on the fence and you want to sit in on that group call and meet the other women who are on the climb, see what we're talking about, the logistics, the travel, the training, all those things, let me know, because usually I only let people who have signed up for the trip into that group call, but we have 7 spots on the trip, and I would love to have you sit in on that call and be part of that conversation. So then you can be like, I'm going to duck out. This doesn't seem like the trip for me. Or you can be like, these are my people, sign me up. I'm super stoked. So that's an opportunity. Send me a message on Facebook or YouTube, or I don't know, you can't message on YouTube. Send me a message on Facebook or find me on any of the socials, or reach out Rebecca@hikelikeawoman.com, and I'll send you an invite to that group call on Sunday. The other thing we've got going on is if you just want to get on a private call with me, I have office hours and a calendar that's linked in the comments. So you can sign up to just hop on a call with me. And I'm going to be honest, you can tell me how you're feeling about Kilimanjaro, and I'll say, you should do it. You should sign up. Or I'll say, maybe not this year, maybe it's something to think about in the future. I used to be like, I want everyone on all my trips, but I'm realizing that it's more important that we get the right people on the trip who really understand the full how the full experience is going to be. So yeah, I'm happy to get on a call and be really honest with you. If I think you can do it, though, I'm gonna encourage you to do it. But if you're like super stoked about climbing Kilimanjaro and you're like, sign me up. I also put the link to go ahead and sign up for the trip in the comments. So yeah, you can check that out. It is 25% deposit. And this year we are offering a safari before the climb or a safari after the climb. So if you want to have the whole Tanzanian experience, then I would recommend hopping on a safari either end. Last year we had one woman do safari before the climb, then the climb, and then she went to the Zanzibar and just hung out at the beach, which to me, that's like the perfect Tanzanian experience. I will be on the safari before the climb because I like to come in a few days early to give my body time to adjust to the food and the time change and the long flights. So that is an option. And safari is pretty cool. I didn't think I was the kind of person who would like a safari until I went on a safari. And then I was like, what? That was amazing. So there's the pre-trip safari or the post-trip safari. The post-trip safari is great if you're just like, I just climbed this big mountain. I am not going to go spend 30 hours on a plane. Then a safari is a great way to ease out of the climbing experience. So anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me. If you're watching the replay later, we will be monitoring all of those comments on YouTube and Facebook. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me or anyone who has climbed Kilimanjaro before with Hike Like a Woman, and they will give you their opinion. And thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm stoked to climb Kilimanjaro this year. I'm excited for a new year, and I really appreciate you. And thanks for being part of the Hike Like a Woman community. So I'm going to go have some dinner, and I'm here for your questions. So have a good evening, and we'll chat later. Bye-bye.
Wageni wakaribishwa wapo Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata, anga tukalala, hakuna matata, sasa ni barafu, hakuna matata, uhuru tutafika, hakuna matata, nguvu zake Mola, hakuna matata, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.